Ready? Aim!
There's too many!
Anyone see my mammoth?
Ah! Stubby!
Welcome back, everyone. Oh, I just realised that there's a blank box over there. That's the one I want. Hey! Welcome back, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. It's Monday. We've got some things to cover, I guess. Some things that have happened since Season 5's been released. Some stuff I just want to talk about. Brotherhood without banners officially being announced today, obviously. So that's obviously pretty big. Yeah, just the whole thing. Was it today? I feel like it was today, not yesterday. I don't know. Anyway, we've got plenty to talk about. Yeah. So I hope everyone's done well. Chris is happy that there's actually a peasant unit in the game. Yeah, we'll cover that in a minute. But yeah, finally happy that's actually been announced. Some things we'll discuss, some things we'll cover, some responses, believe it or not, to things that people have said, and actually my own thoughts and stuff that I'm responding to, which seems weird now I say it like that. But yeah, we'll go through and we'll see how it goes and talk about it, all of it today. Yeah. All right then. So, first and foremost, Season 5. Season 5. It's out. People are enjoying it. The War Council has been updated a few times now. So if you haven't updated War Council, do update your War Council. It has everything on it for Season 5 now. So that's all sorted and done as well. Who won the Dervish List contest data? Yeah, I was going to say we won't have to worry about that because Season 5's out. But we will have to worry about that, won't we? So I have a personal... whoops, we'll get rid of that for now. I do have a personal one that should win. Few people put kind of submissions in for that. But I have one that I like the look of. And yeah, I don't know. It's always difficult. But yeah, we'll go through that and we'll do that today as well. Why not? Yeah, should we quickly talk about War Council as the first and foremost problem? And it is a problem. War Council came out with a bunch of updates and they got some of the stuff wrong. They have gone through and done a pass already on War Council. Did correct some of the errors, but not all of them. So if people like Nymeria Sand has plus 11 movement, which is obviously an error. Okay? Is obviously an error. So that's one got fixed. For those of you who don't know, they did also do a second round patch for the patch, fixing a few things. Mostly just like it was like 5 or 6 wording changes where they added a word like select instead of selected. So they just cleaned up a tiny bit of grammar on the QA. Or QA, I should say. QC, sorry, not QA. QA is what I do in my job, not QC. So, yeah, then they also fixed Riders of Highgarden. Well, I'll say fixed. They corrected Riders of Highgarden. So Riders of Highgarden were announced, and obviously a lot of people thought it would be +1 to hit and +2 dice for each rank, as it was written. So that would be +2 if 2 ranks, meaning they hit on 2s. From 4. That was mentioned to be fixed in an FAQ, and then it was actually updated on the cards. So it now says you get +1 to hit on the charge, and you get +2 dice for each rank on the charge. They're 2 separate bullet points with 2 separate lines of rules. So yeah, they've fixed that. If some people want to call it a fix, they've changed that. If you want to call it a change, I was firmly in camp 2+. It's what the rules said. Even though I thought it was silly, the numbers were run, and Screamers still did more damage on average than Riders of Highgarden hitting on 2+, which is interesting. Now, of course, it's very easy to give Riders of Highgarden a vulnerable token to support them doing their job and thus increasing their damage output quite a lot. But just as it was base 6-point unit, it was very interesting to see that Screamers actually won out on average damage. Spike damage, obviously, Riders were higher. But yeah, so that was interesting. But they did obviously fix it to 2+. So now they are just lower level in terms of average damage output to Screamers, which is interesting. So yeah, that's I guess the update stuff. For those of you who do or don't know, for those of you who it's not your first time, you're not first rodeo. For those of you that it is your first rodeo with the War Council update, you'll see 2 or 3 iterations of War Council before needing to kind of make sure that it's all good and in the right spot. It's also worth noting that the files are all accessible for players. If you didn't know this, with certainly Android, I don't know how you do it. Well, I do know how you do it for iOS, but I don't have an iOS, so I can't demonstrate it. But if you've got an Android mobile phone, you can access what we call the APK, which is the file that kind of runs the system, if you will. All the data and everything's behind it. And you can actually go through and download all of the files. Now, this is what you'll see some people doing to get certain aspects of assets. So if I quickly show you the asset list, let's just a second. Here we go. So if I move this over here, and I'll make it much smaller because otherwise it's going to do my head in. So what we have here, is the files, and I'll just very quickly show you this because if people didn't know, this is useful info to be aware of in the future. So in here are all of your assets for your attachments, all named as. This is, by the way, why it's so much easier for Carlo to add things to stats by the unique ID name as well. Easier doesn't mean it's necessarily required. Just bear that in mind. It's not. He doesn't need these things to upload them. He needs the ID, not necessarily the images, but the images help a lot. So anyway, you've got IDs for everything there. You've got all of your box arts that currently exist in the game, including the Michael Chanel Dreadfort Captain image. This is just, I don't know who it's supposed to be. It might be Jim Ludwig as a Champion of the Faith. I don't know. Might be another one of the designers. Hard to tell. I actually don't know who it's supposed to be. But all of the box art. In case you're wondering, the box art is the same quality as you see them on War Council. So these images are all actually really tiny. And they're not great quality for using for much else. But at least it's there. But the reason I say this is that you can access all of the data. So this is all the CSV files that feed into the app. And you can actually go through and see, look, new skills. And I won't open this up and show you, but it actually has basically a CSV file with all the skills in the game. Specials, it gives you all the special rules, all the tactics cards, all the text for tactics cards. So, for example, cast art retribution, and then it's got the text for cast art retribution when an enemy unit's performing an attack die, how it's been bolded and everything like that. It's all in the text file or the CSV file. That's how they do the updates. That's how they change things. So that's just something you need to be aware of. That's why when there are errors, it's actually incredibly easy for them to fix if they know what the errors are, in theory. But yeah, loads and loads of assets. In case people didn't know, the reason I'm bringing this up today is that some people have asked for recently, not necessarily myself, but have been asking on the main Discord, oh, have you got assets for this or assets for that? Or do we know where this thing is? especially if it's for like you're doing stuff for the game. You know, obviously this all's under fair use and criticism of the game and things like that. So you can access this art. You wouldn't be able to use it for anything else outside that, of course. Wouldn't fulfill that license. But if you're talking about the game and wanting to do bat reps and stuff, there's tons of art that you can use there from the game itself, which is useful for you. It's how a lot of people do their kind of thumbnail arts and banner arts for their battle reps. So, anyway, won't go into that anymore. Just something that people may or may not know. Those are all up. I've put Season 5 up on a Google Drive if anyone wants to access it. You can do this yourself off your own phone, off the files that you have. But there is a Google Drive if you wish to access these files for whatever reason you need them for. Otherwise, you just do it yourself. All right, so that is your kind of Season 5 stuff now done. War Council's been updated. You'll see a lot of changes in the next few weeks. When they hopefully fix some stuff, FAQs and things, we'll see how that all pans out. Okay, next thing, before we dive into the Brotherhood, and I know everybody's here for the Brotherhood without banners, but I'm getting small things of like housekeeping out of the way first. Another thing, and this is a response, this is 100% response to people saying the game is dying. Now, it's worth remembering that when myself and Carlo spoke about this last week, myself and Carlo talk about this from a UK perspective and specifically a UK competitive scene. Carlo has been at the forefront of that competitive scene, driving it and pushing it as an organizer. And Carlo has seen it decline since he's stepped away from doing that. You know, that is an observation. It's something that I think a lot of people don't realise. Another thing that I think a lot of people don't realise is that the birth of the creative support and the competitive scene organised play support in Europe from War Factory, it turns out the UK doesn't seem eligible for that, and it seems the UK is still responding to Asmodee. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm not going to go into the details, that's just bad. Like that's been where we've been the whole time. Organised play in the UK doesn't change for UK players, and that means the whole new organised play kind of rotation, all of the new stuff that people can purchase. So I found out yesterday that you can buy rulers, dice bags, rulers, and Reaver Captain models, all for Greyjoys through War Factory. They're actually selling them as part of prize event kits or something. You cannot buy those in the UK. At least I'm not aware that you can buy those in the UK. You can buy them from War Factory. You can have them shipped anywhere in Europe. But you cannot purchase those in the UK, and we did not get a link to access that. So, UK's been left a bit high and dry on that one. I imagine not the only one. Obviously, I've been looking at it from a UK-centric perspective, but you know, it's been a bit of a kick in the teeth, and I've not talked about it because I didn't really realise, so the US can't access them either. The US also doesn't have access. But I guess the thing is that US doesn't have access, but the US doesn't have an organised play structure yet. It's not been set up. Whereas the whole point is Europe has actually been set up by a War Factory now. They just didn't bother with the UK because of Asmodee. So that's fun and games. But yeah, that's... that lens of the game is dying is very much through a lens of that kind of information, that kind of stuff which Carlo has had to put up with, and I've seen as well firsthand. And that's the bit where we suffer, because we see that. We see the lack of kind of opportunity within our region. That's not to say that it's true of all regions. It's just true of our region. That being said, I did actually do a little bit of analysis for people. Hey, doing data analysis on stats. How dare ye? How dare ye indeed. So what I did was I just took stats, data, and applied a little bit of kind of not magic or anything like that, but just applied a little bit of information surrounding background information to try and work out some various bits of information for us. So I am going to show you this. Load this up, so bear with me. Doesn't like loading it first time. And it's going to be massive. There we go. So, what are you looking at? Well, this is data for the game, right? This is all data that's accessible through stats. You'll note the different factions and the number of total games played for each patch. I just took a note of those here. Zoom in so you can see. Those are all numbers taken directly from stats. Here we have, this is the total number of games recorded per day for each faction. So this is total days for each patch. You'll note each patch has a time span for it. These are approximate start and end dates. The reason these approximate start end dates are the way they are is purely because when stats updates and when the game updates are not actually the same. So they don't really equate very easily. And this is approximate. This is really approximate. So there you go. That's kind of where we're sat at with the kind of situation with that, I guess. So need more pivot tables. Yeah. This is all just data I have to take manually, which is why it's all like this. Anyway, what this ends up with is this, which is your mean games per day per faction. Now, it's worth noting that the 2021 season is marred by just weird data. The data is not really correct on stats as to total number of games, and also the time period it was played over, etc. It's a bit of a strange one, the data for 2021 flat, so just bear that in mind, okay? But Season 1, Season 2, Season 3 and Season 4 are all correct. I can guarantee that certainly Season 2, 3 and 4 should be kind of very, very correct. Season 1, there might be some little issues with the way it was done, because I'm not entirely convinced on the dates for Season 1. But let's go through. We see the game isn't dying, right? Season 4 was very equivalent to the play rate of Season 2, based on the data from stats. And when I say play rate, it's not total games, remember. It's not about the total number of games that were played, because the total number of games played in Season 4 is actually lower than Season 2. Or sorry, Season 1 even. It's actually higher than Season 2. But it's about the time span in how long those games were played over, right? So if you have a longer patch, you're going to play more games. It's just natural. So we see here that that Season 2 as a games per day average was generally speaking the best, but not for all factions. Season 4 actually kind of beating Season 2 in some faction areas. And this has got a lot to do with power level. Like, I 100% believe this has got a lot to do with power level. Surprising absolutely nobody that Season 4 Starks had a higher play rate than Season 2 Starks. Season 2 Starks were okay, bit meh, bit crap. Season 4 Starks, very good. Right? Free Folk Season 2, off the back of Season 1, very popular in Season 1 comparatively. 11.2, which seems like a low number compared to everything else in Season 1. Free Folk have always had a lower representation in the game than many of the other factions. So having a play rate that's even equivalent is kind of crazy. We see 13.8 in Season 2 and a bit of drop in Season 4. Again, not a surprise because Season 2, Free Folk were still very strong. Again, with Night's Watch seeing an 18 games per day. 18 games per day, Night's Watch, which is the highest it's ever been. Down at 11.5 in Season 4. Again, really, really, really depressing because of ultimately people just didn't feel comfortable with Night's Watch anymore with the quite heavy nerfs they got. So there is linked to power level. What's super interesting here is Baratheon. Baratheon are always popular. You'll see them nearly always having the highest kind of numbers. But very low play rate in Season 3. Right? Like, actually lower than Lannister, considerably lower than Lannister, considerably lower than Stark, and Night's Watch, and equivalent to that of something like Stark's. Now, that's actually crazy low for Baratheon, because Baratheon tend to get played lots. So Baratheon had a really bad Season 3. And actually what's interesting is there's a lot of factions that had bad Season 3s. It was a low-performing faction. That's really interesting because Season 3 was the period of the most big tournaments for the game. We saw the largest tournament ever held, which was Polish Nationals. We saw LGT in that time period. We saw French Nationals was still in that period, I believe. You saw US Nationals. You saw all of the big kind of national events. Spanish is weird. I think there was at least one, maybe two Spanish GTs in that time period. I think there was one post-GCS nerf and one pre, I can't remember. Mikhail might be able to correct me if I'm wrong. But then you've also got tons of other smaller events, loads of other stuff going on. But considerably lower play rate. And this isn't out of nowhere, this isn't unfathomed, and this also means it's going to impact Season 1 data, because the suggestion that we kind of came up with was that the Christmas period might actually create a massive drop in games played per day, right? And you don't need that many games dropped per day. Or it was 2 big GTs in Spain. Yeah, I think it was. So you don't need that many games or days where the games played is just drop through the floor to really impact a mean average. Season 1 also had Christmas within its time span, which means that we think that may have had an impacting factor, hence the reason it's lower. And it is really quite interesting. I'd be interesting to see if Season 5 is lower than Season 4 at the end. We'll do a bit of analysis. I'd be interested to see if Season 5 is lower because of the Christmas period and look at kind of the data and look at where it's coming through. Because if it is, then we can see kind of like a cyclical pattern arise of the number of games being played and how active the game is. Now, it's worth remembering how active the game is on stats, right? We're using stats as an allegory for the whole, play space, but it isn't necessarily true. It's an assumption that we're making. But yeah, so that's where we're at with kind of play rate. So the game is not dying, right? Season 4 was about as popular as Season 2. The total number of games played was actually slightly more in Season 4, believe it or not, because of, time spans, etc. And you see that with total, so the games per month. The games per month is slightly higher in Season 4. Again, this is an approximation because dates mean that you end up with extra months when there wasn't a full month, etc., etc. So it looks like this is higher than this, but actually, arguably, Season 4 was played. It calculates one less month than it really played. So that's where we're at. That's kind of where we're at. The game isn't dying, right? Whoever says it is wrong. That doesn't mean it is not dying in your area. It could be dying in any localized area, but the game is not dying on the whole. Okay, before we move on, there is actually one bizarre, and this is super bizarre, thing, which is neutrals. And you'll notice neutrals and the color coding on neutrals there, hopefully sparking everybody's kind of interest, hopefully, when they see this. Neutrals is played more when less people play the game. This is not a percentage breakdown, by the way. This is not their 3% and their 11%. It's not a percentage breakdown. This is literal number of games in which this faction appears each day. Or each month. and they have a slightly higher play rate when everyone else has played less. I cannot tell you why that is the case. Is it because the game feels quieter, so more people move to neutrals because they think it's better? No idea. Could it be neutrals were actually playable in Season 1? Well, they weren't. They were playable in Season 2? Kind of. They were playable in Season 3? Yeah, they were. They've not been playable. They felt crap in Season 4. But yeah. Also, apparently neutrals get played less as they get a buff deck. Exactly. I don't understand it. Data. I don't understand it. Neutrals just seems to buck the trend. So yeah, we're not in a bad patch. However, I would expect Season 5 to be lower. I would expect Season 5 to be lower play rates, but we will see. Dates for anyone who cares are there. Anyone who wants to see if I'm right or wrong on those dates, take a screenshot if you want to. I'm going to move on. You can always tell me that those dates are actually completely wrong, but those are approximate dates. Bearing in mind I'm going approximate dates off when the site is also updated, rather than just the day of the patch. So just bear with me on that one. It is possible that Bolton's did steal some neutral players as well, Data, yes, but Bolton's at 6.6 is much higher than neutrals ever were. Neutrals at 2 is low, but they never went past 3 anyway. You know, whereas the range from everywhere else is huge ranges compared. So there we go. Bit of data crunching for you. I don't know if people like that, but I thought I'd do a bit of that just to see, is the game actually dying? And it isn't. It's getting there, but it's not. Right, we move on. And should we talk about the thing that everyone wants to talk about? I can't hear you, so I'll assume that's a no. Okie dokie, we won't talk about it. Neutrals ever have ever won a big tournament? No. Neutrals won a local event in the US. There was a Polish event, I think, that neutrals won. It's like marked, remembering. I'm not saying neutrals have never won an event. Neutrals have never won a national level event. And I think there's like one regional qualifier that was won by neutrals. Off the top of my head, in the US, no major GTs have ever been won by neutrals. No tournament that ever's kind of been like worth looking at across the board. Like everyone should be looking at this tournament, it's high level or anything like that, has ever been won by neutrals. Not since the advent of stats, anyway. One last thing we go. So, one last thing before we talk about Brotherhood banners. I nearly forgot this. I did say we were doing some upkeep, some other upkeep stuff. Now, this is more like a little announcement, I guess. And that is, you'll probably notice the YouTube channel itself has changed, right? This was a move by Carlo, and essentially, while people think of stats and Tourney ground as being the same thing, Carlo wanted to make it abundantly clear that they're not, and that's because of conflation of ideas and ultimately conflation of kind of like stances on things. Carlo is very much stats. He's always been the developer of stats, the man behind running stats, etc., etc. I stepped in a long time ago, partially because I wanted to, partially because I said to him, I'll help, and that was help advertise, kind of promote the site, get it out to more players, and also then run things like the Facebook and stuff, which way back in the day was what I was kind of doing a lot more anyway. When I cared a lot more about trying to grow these things. So yeah, that's what I did. I stepped in and we kind of did that, and then obviously Tourney Ground started off the back of that because we wanted to talk about things that were happening in the game, and it wasn't anything more than just wanting to talk about things, events, even reporting on like way back in the day, reporting on the events that Carlo was running online, where I used to collect all the data manually. People don't realize this. I did a hell of a lot of data collection manually, and I had to go through, and I remember an event where I recorded by hand all components of all 128 lists in a 64-player event. And in my spreadsheet was then able to work out, by putting the results in of every round, I was able to calculate the win rates of everything in the event. And then we applied some kind of relatively arbitrary mathematical formula to give the idea of like impact on the meta. We did that literally by hand, right? I had an Excel spreadsheet and I had to type everything in. It was an absolute nightmare to do that. I did it once. I actually did it for 2 events. And by 2 events, I was absolutely burnt out with it. Writing out 128 lists was not worth my time. And I remember sat on a Discord call with Carlo many years ago now, where he was sat there pasting these lists from stats onto a Word document we had both had open. And I was basically copying them into the thing. And as he did each one, he'd say, right, there's another 2. And I'd say, right, yeah, that's done. We cross them off as we go. That was a long time. And we did a lot of stuff there. But yeah, so Tourney Ground obviously evolved off the back of that. And Tourney Ground was an idea that I'd had with Carlo, obviously, because it's easier than doing recorded stuff, which required scripting, required a hell of a lot of editing. We still kept that up every now and then, but that obviously got phased out as we went further and further, because it is a lot of editing. I think people don't realise that half an hour to an hour of Carlo talking is probably 3 hours, and I'm not even joking, could be 3 hours of Carlo talking to camera that I've had to then cut down, or things where he's misspoke, or other things that's just dead time. He goes to say something, he fucks up, and so he just keeps recording, restarts that segment again. And that's not a joke. You know, Carlo used to put a lot of work into just recording, formulating his ideas and recording those ideas. And then I would spend 6 or 7 hours just tearing apart his recording and then adding all the images and everything on into that. I didn't want to do that anymore. I had other things. I moved on, and COVID had basically cleaned up for us. I'd finished it working at home in that way, and it was just a massive, massive burden for me. So I didn't want to do it anymore. But yeah, Tourney Grounds off the back of that is kind of evolved into me and Carlo speaking live. And then as Carlo kind of stepped away, and ultimately when he got pissed off by me, it became a show which I was running. And as a result, Tourney Ground is not, representative of Carlo's ideas, and it never really was. Anything I said never was. And so Carlo has rightly said that we should separate the ideas across. So Tourney Ground is very much not stats, right? Same people can be involved. Some of the background stuff will still be kind of linked across, always welcome him back. He's got a permanent seat kind of thing, but it's not representative of the website and of Carlo, and I think people didn't realise that. So that's why the change has been made. So you will see a new logo popping up. This is just a brief interim one. You'll see it, the Tourney Ground logo and the banner and the YouTube video. Those will be changing. And there'll be some other stuff. There'll be some other stuff going on as well. But yeah, that's it's very much just making sure that's all there. Is that how you're so lightning fast building lists on stats? Yeah, pretty much. I've done it countless times, literally countless times on stats, and I used to do it on Excel. I used to actually have to just take a list on Excel and plug it in. And Carlo would plug lists onto stats as well. Incredibly easy. But yeah, all right. That's going to be happening. There'll be some new things happening, including things like loads of new stuff. I'm not promising anything, but things like new intros are going to be sorted. Quite a few new imagery and things like that. And it'll just give a bit of spruce and a bit of lease of life to this, which you're already very accustomed to over the years, but it just needs a bit of update. And I've got some time to do that, so why not? All right then. Brotherhood without banners. They're coming out in November. Right, next topic. We're not talking about the Brotherhood without banners today. The Brotherhood without banners suck. So, let's talk about neutrals. Let's talk about cutthroats. Aren't cutthroats great? Oh, right, okay, you convinced me. Let's talk about Brotherhood without banners. So they've officially been announced. In case you didn't know, the Brotherhood Without Banners was coming out. Someone today said it's a bit of a surprise to see the Brotherhood Without Banners, and I was like, is it? Is it a surprise? I mean, if you've not been in the know and you're super connected, it would be a surprise, right? But you know, this is something that we've been talking about on the channel for some time. This is what we knew would be the next faction for, I want to say, 2 months or something. So yeah, yeah. It's gonna be interesting. Dion says, really excited to go get some people to join you. Yeah, so I talk a lot with Chris anyway. Chris is I talk a lot with Chris, and obviously Larks is someone I'm looking to do some stuff with. We do have some collaborations that we're going to work on. We were going to do it for season 4, but actually the truth is that sorry, for season 5. But the truth is we spoke about it after the season 5 release, and the collaboration idea that we have just probably won't work very well for season 5. For it to really work, it would require more changes to the game. So we're hoping season 6 is a bigger kind of change, and for season 6 it would work really well. So we are going to kind of holding off until season 6. But we've got a really good idea, really interesting new format and way of playing the game as well, which hopefully people will like, and bring some other bits and bobs to the whole discussion. All right then. So we did get, alongside this, we got an article directly from CMON on CMON's homepage, which is really interesting. It's the first time I've seen them directly just post something onto their homepage straight away, which is good. We see the figures that we've previously seen in an image. We think, and I will load this up. So we've got, I think it's Lemon Cloak in the top left corner. We've then got Thoros, second one in with the flaming, the flaming coil on his sword is the best way to say it. Beric Dondarrion front and centre with his flaming sword. And for the other 3, I genuinely can't remember who they are. And someone did mention it, and you know what? I didn't do my research and I forgot before today. So I'm stupid. I'm awfully sorry. Please don't hurt me. But yeah, so these are our 6 models, which we believe are coming in the starter set. It could well be. So Brute says, I'm surprised the starter has so many named characters. So it could well be that they don't have generic attachments in the box. Remember, every other starter set has had 2 generic attachments, I believe, in the starter box. They might not have generic attachments, which would be a really good decision. Like, actually, genuinely a really good decision. So Kurt's on hand to give us a hand. So Ghost of High Heart, we've got Tom 7 Strings, which is the guy with the loot. And the last one, I can't remember for the life of me who it is. Someone will tell me, no doubt. I'm not clued up on my Brotherhood Without Banners knowledge. Which is bad, isn't it? Yeah, Brotherhood Without Banners generic attachments. So there aren't any, as far as we understand. That could be really good. That could be really, really good. Okay? Or is it Ravella? Lady Hornwood, isn't it? Or something, yeah. People were saying. The NCU. Yeah. Awesome. Then we saw this image here, so let's review. Lady Hornwood, yeah. And then we'll get on to the last point as well. So, first and foremost, we see Beric with one eye missing. We see Thoros, red cloak and flaming sword. And we see Lem with his lemon cloak. And then we see 3 units. We see peasants, some form of ranged unit, and some form of what looks like to be dismounted knight type. Let's tackle the first thing. Movement 5, movement 6 across the board. peasants with a 643. 643 is pretty bad. Melee profile on 5+ as well. That is incredibly crap for a base melee unit. 6 up armor, but 6 up morale, surprisingly, with disrupt and gang up. No idea on points cost. Could easily be a 5-point unit. The kind of current thought process is this will be a 4-point unit. Oh dear. Oh dear. Let's come back to peasants in a second. We've got some kind of ranged unit with hidden shot, move 6 and short sword. This could easily be a 6-point ranged unit. There's no surprises there. And what could be a 6 or 7-point melee infantry unit at the back there. The first thing that's worth noting is we've got a bit of sadness here. This is my first real rant and moment of sadness of today, to be honest. We see Lemon Cloak with battle scars. Thoros has reinforcements and what looks likely to be Relentless. And Beric has what looks like to be Sentinel, Duty of the Crown, and Pathfinder. Now, the biggest issue here is we have 3 characters. Not a single ability of theirs is unique. Every single one of the 6 abilities on those 3 cards has previously been seen. That's a shame, I think. That's a big shame. I'm not going to say it's a flavor fail or anything like that. It just is a bit of a shame. There's not going to be that many new abilities. I think NCUs obviously always have new abilities because every NCU is fairly unique. But we don't see any abilities on the attachments that are unique and new. The combination of attachments is unique, new. Sentinel with Pathfinder is interesting. Big fan of that combo. But we don't see any kind of anything new on the attachments, which is a bit of a shame. It is what it is. We'll see kind of what plays out here. It's worth remembering as well, so this is something else you might not know. That is the Commander Beric attachment. For those of you who don't know, the lack of border in the top left corner, so the Lemon Cloak and Thoros, you'll notice they have a border to the cards. Let me show you what I mean by that. Let's load up this guy. You'll see he's got a border, so the infantry attachment symbol doesn't go to the edge of the card. In a commander card, it does. Yeah. So, again, look at Ramsey there, right and slap bang in the middle. So that very much is Commander Beric. That is, I'm assuming he's not a commander version. It's attachment Thoros and attachment Lemon Cloak. So, yeah, just bear that in mind if you didn't know. Those are what those 3 things are. So the only real one we can analyse in any real significant way is the peasants. That could be very good. That could be very good. If that's a 4-point unit, peasant unit, then oh god, that's probably going to be spammed. And because you don't care about the spear hitting on 5+, you can get gang up. If you have enough of these, getting gang up's not too bad. Gang up also supporting the other unit that's engaged, remember? And disrupt is not a bad ability. The 6-up armor hurts, but your 5 move, your 6-up morale, like, you're probably going to be fine. If they are 4 points, yeah. Peasants are super spicy. I struggle playing 5 points for that unit as it stands. So if it is 4 points, I think, yeah, I think they're in for a really good time. That brings us on to the other bit. So we knew this was potentially coming for those of you who tune in every week. Was one of the things we mentioned, I believe. But one unique identity that they do have is that they can include House Baratheon, and I thought it was going to be Lannister. Turns out to be House Stark units. They can take a Baratheon or Stark unit. Now, what that means, we do not know currently. There's no greater understanding as to what that actually means. Does it mean combat unit? Does it mean combat unit and any attachments? Does it mean NCUs? What does it mean? Right, that's what we need to know. As it stands, it's very hard to guess what it means. We assume it's not NCUs, I think, at this moment in time, but it could well be. So, spammable peasant unit with gang up, with disrupt, with 6 up morale, meaning you're unlikely to die to most types of things that will try and kill you in one shot. Brings us to the problem of, can you just take a unit of Tully Cavaliers with these guys and just start banging people out with Tully Cavaliers on 10 dice on 2s? Some people saying reinforcements and relentless inside King's Men would be really dangerous. Yeah, I don't know. It's if peasants are 5 up, like if peasants are 5 points, they're probably like super mediocre for 5. I mean, they look very comparable to trappers, to Greyjoy trappers. So yeah, I think Brotherhood without banners could be. It depends on the point cost of these things, and like obviously the other abilities and what have you. But they can't take Tully Cavaliers. Tully Cavaliers have a banner. Well, yeah, but you know. Banner. We'll see. We'll see. Disappointed the lack of uniqueness in the characters. Names, sure. People, sure. But like, a bit disappointed that there was no uniqueness in what we saw there. Potentially worried about the inclusion of units from another faction. Yeah. Kurt said just balance Tully Cavaliers. They just did. Or tried to. Peasants plus Riders of Highgarden. Yeah. Want those 9 dice on 2+. They took it away, but we can have 10 dice on 2+ if you want. Post says, considering how careful they've been releasing new units. Oh, pardon me, tired. I don't know. I think it could easily be a 4-point unit. Easily. Thoros not bringing back Beric is disappointing. Yeah, it is a little bit, Doug. Bit of a Flavor Fail loss. And I know we spoke about it, Doug, about the idea of just keep bringing back Dondarrion, keep respawning Dondarrion. There might be a thing where like one of Beric's cards means that if Thoros is on the field, you can bring back like inexplicable return, basically. That would be funny. That would be so funny if they gave Beric an inexplicable return. Data says split the difference is a 3-point unit. No. Peasants are 3-point units, but you have to take them in pairs. Is that right, Data? Yeah, I don't know. They look cool. Green cards, cool. We're expecting brown plastic, still. So that is what it is. I guess we'll see. I will guess we will see. Unit name suggests 4 points. Yeah, it's worth remembering. Poor Fellows. Poor Fellows of like if you compare Poor Fellows next to these, I don't think these guys are like significantly worse than Poor Fellows, like or better. I don't think they're like significantly better. I don't know. So for me, the direct comparison is with Poor Fellows, and I think they stack up like okay against them. It could easily be a 4-point unit. Yeah, so they've been brown past it due to tactics. Yeah, you can't take Beric with Lady Stoneheart, so we'll know being here as one. Yeah, potentially likely. We'll wait and see. One of those things where you can't take Lady Stoneheart if your army includes Beric Dondarrion. But I guess we'll see. We don't know that as of yet. Yeah. Exciting to play. Obviously, new factions are always exciting. The Boltons were exciting. I wasn't that excited myself, but new factions are always exciting. And this one in particular, because just Thoros is just... Thoros and Beric are two of my favourite characters. I just love the idea of what they stand for. You know, they're like old school knights, basically. Well, at least Beric is like a proper old school knight. So yeah. Kurt wants them to not miss Angai the Archer. Yeah. Yeah, characters like that would be a bit of a miss. It'd be a bit of a shame if they weren't in the game. Oh. Oh. The evening's tiredness has set in, I tell you. I don't usually get tired, but my eyes are full on going today. So, I don't really know what else to say. I'll be playing these guys in real life. I don't know, Doug. At the risk of having to paint another load of like motley brown things, probably not. You know, I'm fed up of painting browns. Yeah? I'm fed up of painting browns so much that there's some brown. There's some more browns. There's some more browns. What else have I got on the shelf up here? Here we go. Here's some more. I don't know if you can tell, but those guys are brown. Let me just check over here. So, a box of I think yep, they're brown. I'm just double checking. They've got some green on them, to be fair. The Thens were my personal favourite models to paint and actually do in the Free Flag Army. Oh, here's a nice unit. Yeah, that's brown. You get my point, right? I'm fed up of doing browns, and if I was doing the Brotherhood without banners, I would feel like I'd need to do browns. For those of you who don't know my hobbying exploits, I haven't got that many. I'm not a great hobbyist, as it turns out. Well, I'm okay. I enjoy it. Sometimes it's a chore. But for those of you who don't know, I do like converting the odd thing here or there. But no word of a lie, my actual favourite thing to paint in my entire army... Oops. My favourite thing to paint in my entire army is not this chariot. It's this purple dead Lannister guy, part of the 100... I can't remember what they're called now. 100 men or whatever. They're somewhat believe in the Seven, and they go off to help support people in the Riverlands and things like that. But painting that one purple dude, I found infinitely more fun than the entire army of brown that I have. So yeah, I'm all for painting something in colourful stuff. I might take up Baratheon for that reason, or Lannisters for that reason, or potentially paint these guys in different colours. Yeah. Ah, yes, more Lembas bread. I've just read that comment. That was the vibe I went for, and you've nailed it. Purple Army when? I don't play Lannister, so plus we'll come on to that in a second. Actually, it's a bit of talk of season 5, which I will not spare you my rants for. Well, I will spare you my rants for. But yeah, that's where we're at. I would love to paint something that isn't frickin' brown. Yeah, I could play Mummers. Thing is, I'd feel the necessity to paint Mummers brown because they have a load of leather, and then paint them lots of different colours as well. Always go all the time. Plus, they made neutrals worse as a faction, which is like unbelievable. I just like to paint things semi-accurate to what they should be, which is a problem when you play Unwashed Hordes. So, ouch, that's my hobbying exploits done for the week. I will now not touch another model, paint it in 10 minutes. But Michael, you didn't actually paint anything. Yes, but I spoke about paints for more than 5 minutes. That's my hobbying done. And that woke me up. So, just sent you a picture of non-brown peasant colours on Discord, says Chris. Chris Baker, obviously Chris F&M. Very... See, I appreciate those colours, Chris, and to be fair, some of those colours that you've sent me, I'll load this up so people can see it. Here's the pictures he sent for non-brown peasant. But for me, like the top 5 or 6 of those colours, including things like these greens and reds here, I would still call them brown. That's how far my reach for what is brown has extended to what it feels like every colour in the spectrum. I want to create bright, not washed out, fabricy brown-esque, Ugh. No offense, Chris. You're right. You're the actual expert. Just fed up with it. All right. So we'll do some painting there at some point. But yeah, could go for something a bit more colourful, and I would. I'd actually go deliberately for more colourful because I actually quite enjoy painting colourful things. It's fun, interesting, and not boring. So yeah, that's that. Have a lemon out long enough, it turns brown. Oh dear God, lemon brown cloak. Yeah. All purple army. I could do an all purple army. I really could. Making me think now. Okie dokie. So that's Brotherhood. That's all we know so far. Not really much to say. Looks fun. We go again, I guess. Like, we just see where it goes. We'll see what kind of stuff comes out. It's November when they're due out, so that's 2 months from now. I use that term very loosely because it could well be the end of November, mid-November, late November, whatever we want. So yeah. Tartan Brotherhood without banners. Challenge myself. I could, I really could. The thing is, I am crap at things like that. But I actually could. Oh, Doug. Don't give me bad ideas. I hate you, Doug. I don't hate Doug. Doug's a lovely guy. Yeah. I'll have a think about it. But they're not out for 2 months. So I've got 2 months to prepare and 2 months to fill my life with other super interesting things like playing Stellaris or Black Myth or having really long poos. The really satisfying ones that your wife complains about. Those ones. All right then. Sorry, I've gone way off topic. That's where we're at. I don't really have anything more to add about Brotherhood. There's nothing really much to say. Without more information, it's hard to obviously analyze where we're at. But yeah, it's good fun. When are we playing BG3, Kurt? Well, whenever you're available. Beric maybe will have something to come from the dead. Yeah, inexplicable return is what I was thinking of, Raoul. For those of you who do not know what I'm talking about, this card just actually got a change, didn't it? With the draw a friendly tactics card. Sorry, draw a card at the start of a friendly turn. Why did I absolutely break that? But yeah. Monkey good. Monkey strong. Monkey is good. Monkey is strong. I am very much enjoying it, sister. So yeah. He says 7 to the last tokens. I heavily doubt 7 to the last tokens, but it wouldn't surprise me. Yeah. I actually, so the most interesting thing, right? And I know people see these and they think, oh, this is really interesting. Like units, well, start attachments actually. Attachments are normally not very fun, right? What I mean by that is because of the design space that they work in, attachments have become fairly guessable and predictable. And as a result, attachments usually are very observably good or bad within like a minute, right? Units can take a little bit of time because you just often think about what kind of list building does it open up, if it opens up anything, how does it look, what kind of stuff can you actually do with this. So units are like a bit more interesting. Commanders are obviously even more interesting because commanders bring tactics cards, and that, my friends, is the most interesting thing in the game, which is the tactics cards. The thing that nobody has said, right, at all, so far, not a single person has said this. What about the base tactics deck? I think the base tactics deck for this faction could be really interesting. I think Inexplicable Return might be a commander card. Why do you think that, Mickey? That's a weird thing to think. Why change Inexplicable Return to be this? Why do that? Well, I think it was because it was not very good. It wasn't very good. They replaced it, and so they're thinking about adding it to the game elsewhere. That's my genuine opinion, right? And I never thought this so much as more recently. But what else do I think? I think Regroup and Reform may well exist in the base deck for these guys. It plays into the theme. It plays into what the abilities seem to be. Would not surprise me one iota. Wouldn't surprise me if Coordination Tactics is added or not. They just removed it from Dagmar, of course. They might decide that it doesn't need to exist in Brotherhood without banners because of the issues. If it does exist in Brotherhood without banners, spaghetti-o. We will see. Some people are saying Baratheon or Stark base deck. Nah. Gotta have your own deck. If you're just using like half a Baratheon or half a Stark, or they give you like a weird mishmash of half Bara, half Stark, that would be really weird. Like really weird, and I think bad as well. Oh, I mean, they could just choose the best cards from both, right? Of course. But yeah. Doug says, oh my god, they're gonna have hidden traps, outflank, motivated by coin and lances. Yep. Potentially. All of the things. If Boltons are any example, expect sadness and disappointment. Yeah. Sudden Retreat makes sense. Yeah, Cunning Ploy makes sense to some extent. And the Howland card, Bog Devil Ambush. Anything like that. The base deck is where all the power is. Like units can be good or bad, right? Units will get tweaked, but base deck changes don't happen often. And the base deck will be determining what the base level power is of the faction. So, yeah, we'll see. We will see. I think there's good opportunity here to make it awesome. We will see. Saddening disappointment, but now with fun characters. Hey! Raise a flag, but not a banner. A flag, not a banner. Brotherhood without banners, except Starks and Baratheons with banners. I much prefer mine. It's Brotherhood without banners, as in banners that are out. Maybe the Lycene Bosun's ability in a tactical card. Maybe. There's an attachment you don't see play. Lycene Bosuns. Yeah. Sad, isn't it? Really unique ability as well. You never see it. You never see Arya, actually, did you? Remember when Arya was going to be the absolute scorn of season 4, with the fact that Arya can just kill things, and it never happened. I don't think I've ever seen Arya played once. A 5th Brienne incoming? Oh god. We need more Briennes than we need mountains. Is that the plan? Hey Mickey, what's the worst attachment in the whole game? That's really hard to answer, because I don't know all the attachments in the game. No. It's really hard to answer because what do you mean the worst? Because there are probably a bunch of attachments that I just think you should never put in your list. Like, actually never. So yeah. Mikkel says Reaver Captains. Nah, fuck off, Mikkel. Reaver Captains are not good. Like, I'm not going to say they're good. They're not good. But no, Reaver Captains are, like, fine. If you want to have Outflank, you'd pay a point for that. It is what it is. Like, everyone else has Outflank for a point. They're fine. I would agree they're not great. They're not good by any stretch. But they're fine. I've played Reaver Captains because I think even thematically or for fun, you can play that and it's not like absolutely shooting yourself in the foot. But yeah. Mage Mormont, says Pal. Yeah, Maeve Mormont could be one of the worst. The non-commander Maeve Mormont. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Like, go down fighting, and someone said it in chat, don't they? Go down fighting and unyielding for 2 points. Yeah. Yeah, this is up there with potentially being actually one of the worst in the game. Like this is just terrible value for 2 points. Go down fighting is like a 1 point ability. Just about. Like, barely. It's probably like a 0.7 or 0.8. Unyielding is just like not good. Or not that good on its own. And the whole thing's 2 points. Yeah, Maid Mormont is probably one of the ones up there. People saying Golden Company officers. Yeah, I mean these are pretty fucking awful now for value. You're only taking this if you really want a elephant in your non-neutral list. Yeah, Vic when he was 3 points after they changed Relentless. Yeah, obviously Vic now is not 3 points, so that does help. But yeah, this guy was 3 points. That was really bad. So yeah. Some people saying Rouge Biter. Now Rouge is 2 points and Biter's free. I mean, Biter's still not good by any stretch. But Biter is actually, like, playable. I would not consider Biter very good at all. But Rouge is playable. There's reason to believe, actually, going back to our that you can pick up something like this. Run that combo. Oh, they usually have to do. Oh, fuck it. No. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Gaillard, Morrigan, and Robo Royce. Yes. Robo Royce is Dario 1 point attachment that gives out a vulnerable. Robo Royce is actually terrible. Right? He's very similar to Maeve. If you don't know Robo Royce, Relentless Strikes, which is 1 point in Dario neutral attachment, and then you get Furious Charge for 1 whole extra point. Baratheon's notoriously bad at putting vulnerable. Baratheons don't have access to vulnerable tokens, so Furious Charge incredibly useful and handy for Baratheon players because there's not a single unit in Baratheons that gives out a vulnerable token. There's not a single unit in Baratheon that gives out a vulnerable token in any way, shape, or form. So you simply cannot access vulnerable tokens when you play Baratheons. So it makes sense for Robar Royce to give you a vulnerable token for a whole point. /S. That was supposed to be sarcastic and bollocks. Robar Royce is genuinely freaking awful. Value for money. Like, you could just pay 1 point and get Dario if you want this effect. Gaillard is not much better, but Gaillard at least is, you know, somewhat interesting in something like Rose Knights, giving them Counter-Strike and Dauntless. Like, I don't think Gaillard's good value for 2, but I could see somebody wanting to play Gaillard Morrigan in a unit, like thematically, or if you wanted to buff a unit up. I could see someone running Morrigan. I actually can never see the point of any. If anyone ever puts Robar Royce in their list, I am just going to turn around and say, yeah, but why isn't it Dario? Because I want Robar. Yeah, but why isn't it Dario? Because I've already got 11 points. Yeah, exactly. You can have Dario to make your 12th point. Do Dario. Dario's better. Run Dario. Don't run Dario. Dario. But Dario. Dario. Pointing and jabbing them in the eye. That's how much I'd point at them. I would point at them until I was jabbing their eyes out. Just take Dario. Sorry. Colo with Battle Scars. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, Colo, if you want to say. Battle Scars on Cav. Yeah, not great. I will say that the ability to not be weakened is valuable, right? People undervalue that ability quite heavily. And I say that because of the last patch I was running Hago with Fuel Slaughter, right? I was running Hago in a list with Jorah. I think this ability is actually way better than people give credit for. But I agree, of the 4, this is probably the weakest one. Certainly now, with what Screamers have access to in the base deck. These Battle Scars isn't crap. It's crap on Cavalry, but it's not like complete garbage. Remember back in the old days where it was utterly terrible? Yeah, I remember. Pepperidge Farm members. Is there any attachment that I genuinely think is terrible? I mean, Robar might actually be my least favourite attachment in the game. Maeve is just bad. Maeve is bad, and you shouldn't take Maeve, but a start player might take Mage. And it's like a decision they're allowed to make. I don't think you're allowed to decide to take Robar. Sorry. I know that that's not true. People can do whatever they want for fun, but I think Robar Royce might actually be the worst. In my opinion, he probably is, actually. Alarian now at 1 point is actually, like, playable, even if it is pretty meh. Nymeria, there's an interesting one. Nymeria is dubious for 2. Bottom Flayers for 1. Yeah, I mean, these guys suck. Miri attachment isn't good. I mean, Mage is worse, you reckon? Mage has 2 abilities that, well, they don't do anything really. Yeah, I guess Maeve does less. Right, so here's the problem, is that this is where we talk about like who's the worst attachment in the game. Robar Royce is probably the worst value for money in the game. In that, like, if you want the effect, you should just pay 1 point for it instead of 2. So you should never take Robar. But in terms of actual abilities, his abilities will be used on, and you will get value out of him. Right, some value. It's actually dubious whether or not Maze Mormont's abilities will ever really matter. And she's abysmally bad for 2 points. But if you want to take those abilities, you don't have access to them in any other way in Stark. But I would never say you should take her. Robert Strong. I actually think Robert Strong is not that bad. It's just that Robert Strong is obviously locked behind this man right here. If it was just Robert Strong for 3 points without the need to take Qyburn in some manner, I wouldn't say he's great, but he's fine. Like, imagine this. Imagine this in Cassie Rock Honor Guard. Like, that's actually scary as fuck. But you're never taking that because the points cost. That's a 10-point fucking unit now. And you had to take Qyburn in the list. Maze abilities only work when you're down a rank. No, they work before you're down a rank. If you're already down a rank, then go down fighting does nothing. Or does less. Yeah, so the cost for Robert Strong is so much more than just 3 points. Because effectively costing you 4 or 7. Now, yes, you're getting Qyburn. And Qyburn's fine, actually. You know, I think people undersell Qyburn. I think Qyburn's actually fine. But yeah. For new players, I would think giving Vulnerable on a charge might entice new players before they know any better. I agree, Mac. Yeah, you are right. I think Robar will entice players, newer players into the game. They will see Robar and think, oh, that would be handy. It improves his own damage output. And he improves the damage output of the unit quite significantly. That's a combo I would like to try. I could see Robar seeing play there. I agree. But as you say, once you know better, once you look at the rest of the game, access to more things, looking at more things, I think that Robar would just fall by the wayside. I'm actually interested. Let's have a look. And yeah, Qyburn is now good with Castle Rock Honor Guard. Yeah. Robo has played games. He has an 83% win rate in August. He had a 0% win rate in July over 7 games. Now these numbers are so small; they're heavily based on who's playing it, right? Like this is not like great data to use as an analysis piece because it's so subjective as to who's playing it. But yeah, I mean, look, season 4 win rate over 63 games is sub 30%. Robar Royce is fucking awful. Or he's only being played by bad players. But he isn't winning games. Let's have a look at... It is Lady Bear Island, isn't it? No, that's the Commander version. We want the She-Bear. Oh my god, 7 games in season 4 and no wins. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. We have an attachment that has seen over the course of the whole of Stats' recording history. $18 games played. And of those 18 games, they've won 5 of them. Yeah. That's abysmal. That is actually abysmal. Maeve Mormon hasn't won a game on Stats in over a year. So there's the challenge. There is the challenge to everybody listening, is can you win a game with Mage Mormon? 2-point attachment. I mean, if you're playing against someone a lot worse than you, the answer is probably yes. But like, go out there and try and do it. Challenge ye. I challenge ye. That is abysmal. That is actually abysmal. Doesn't count if it's not recorded on Stats. We have to bring Maeve Mormont's data for season 5 up to 1 game played, 1 win. Because genuinely, she might not get a game played. And all of you people saying challenge accepted, great. Play it with the new format, maybe? No. Old format counts. Win a game with her or win because of her. I think, Mac, just win the game. Just win the game. If she's in the list and she does anything, I'd be surprised. You get nothing special and a massive amount of kudos from me if Maeve Mormon can get a kill on the last enemy unit with Go Down Fighting. Have a look at Robert Strong. The thing is, Robert Strong, I bet you Robert Strong's got games. I bet you any money you like. Yeah, he's got like actually more games. Because people think he's fun and interesting to play. His win rate's abysmal, but it's nowhere bad as Robar's at 40%. So yeah. There was one more I wanted to check actually, which was Scar has with Insight and the other bits and bobs, isn't it? Fuel by Slaughter. This 2-point attachment, which, oh my god, like, I've never seen a unit that wanted to be Ramsey more than this guy, and 2-point Ramsey's just like, you should just be taking 2-point Ramsey over this. Let's actually see if Scar has any games. Does it count if both sides have mage? If both sides are just a unit of Mage Mormon, then no. Yeah, Robert Pyro's for fun. Exactly. Robert has reasons to use him. Hey, he's played 43 games. He has an 18.6% win rate, which is not great. That's not great at all, but he does get played. He shouldn't be, but he does get played. He shouldn't be played. That's really bad. That's the problem. Like, he doesn't see play in good lists, but that doesn't mean he shouldn't see play. But then people, when they do play him, they lose, which indicates that he shouldn't see play. But they're probably losing because they're not very good because they've included him in the list. Chicken and egg moment, right? Chicken and egg. Yeah. There we go. There we go. Where is he? Show him to me. Where is he? Where is he? Am I blind? Oh, there he is. Yeah, I actually am blind. $Z. 1 point Gallows Humor. Let's. I want to have a look at $Z. He played 18 games in season 4, and doesn't actually have that bad a win rate. Wow. 1 point attachments. You see, like, just the fact that you're 1 point over 2 points makes. Yeah, he was 2 points. Yeah. But 1 point over 2 points just makes things see play. Like, honestly, that extra point means so much. In terms of play rate, anything 2 points wise that we haven't tackled it. Has anyone used 1 point Andrew Estamont? That I actually just don't think anyone's ever done that, right? Wow. Holy balls. He saw 167 games in season 4. Wow. Wow. 1 point attachment. You see, it just sees play. In answer to your question, no, Dale does not get outflank. Cut. Trying to sneak that one in there. I did spot it earlier, I just didn't respond. There's a 2 point attachment that's sad. Axel Florin. He'll have games. But Axel Florin was an attachment that I think a lot of people would hope would get a bit better. Oh dear. Yeah, 49 games. He's a discount. Axel Florin, yeah. Did you hear the sounds of 1,000 Jockin Widowers being ripped from lists and altogether silent? Yeah. That's obviously a big combo that was taken away, Jockin Widower. That, I mean, 2 point Jockin now is pretty sad. That is very sad for an attachment on its own. For 2 points, that is not good. The reason you're taking this is because of the Widower, because this is not good. Like, that's bad. Axel is straight worse on your own. Yeah, kind of. I mean, not entirely, but basically. Yeah. I'd say that he is. think that's it. I can't think of another attachment that's actually all 2 points to 1 point. Yeah, I don't disagree. Don't disagree at all. Don't disagree at. Yeah. There we go. Anyway, there we go. Maid Mormont, probably the worst attachment in the game. That was an interesting segue. Didn't expect to be talking about that. Let's talk about Season 5. Season 5's out. I got bears wrong. I apologise for this when I did the analysis stream. I'll be honest with you, I was kind of switched off when I read Free Folk. I didn't really think about it too much. And then afterwards, when people said, "Oh, you know, bears could be really strong," I was like, "Yeah, maybe actually you're probably right." And yeah, bears. Some people saying they're really good. Some people saying they're not very good. Some people saying that like it's like oppressive. It's a problem. Some people saying that it isn't. Right. I don't know. I don't know. I have a feeling that bears are a problem. But like there's a double whammy here. Time to open up TTS and just remind people of a rule on the bear card. 2 point cast arc. I'll have a look at 2 point cast arc while we wait for this to sort itself out. Stark Fury and his commander attachment has Fueled by Slaughter. He has Stark Fury and is it Furious Charge as well? No, he has Auto 6 as well, doesn't he? Right? Yeah, well, Uncontrollable Rage. Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is pretty bad for 2 points. Yeah. Not great. It's a really good example where, like, I actually, and I really mean this. I'm going to turn that audio off, by the way. Jesus. You've all been listening to the TTS music, and it's really annoying. The commander attachment is just way better. Like, actually just way better for what it gives you. All right, then. What I'll do is I'll load up Free Folk. So here's the thing, right? That people perhaps I didn't read them properly. I didn't really analyze it until much later in the week, and this is a problem. Like, this is actually a problem. So let's load up bear. Where are we? There, and let's put out one of them. And for the purposes of this, I'm just going to have Free Folk Raiders as an example unit. So let us flip this over to here and let's just turn on the game. So, that Stark Fury was on. Yeah, I remember that. Best attachment. Oh, lots of potential options there. Truth, skin changes. There you go, done. So, this is a standard deployment on a map that you'll probably all recognise. Oops, wrong one. I hate the white map myself. I think it's awful. Gives me whiteout headaches, among other things. But there you go. So, Free Folk Raiders, right? And let's just say they've got a skin changer. The bear. Now, the bear, just a quick reminder. It says when this unit is selected, deploy it fully within short range of a friendly unit and at least 1 inch from an enemy unit. And it is selected at the point of deploying the skin changer. Now, this means if you outflank, you can outflank a unit over here with Jarl, with the skin changer in it now that Jarl ignores attachments, and then you could put the bear with Jarl's outflanked unit. So you could actually outflank here, and then the bear can deploy there, fully within short. That would actually be legal, right? Or we could go over here. Entirely legal. that's less abusive. Like, that's just such a thing. I think people just accept that that's actually okay. Because that probably isn't too bad, right? People have been kind of saying that you can, with deployment zones, if you position correctly, you can use like Varamir and Barok's Boar and the Wolf Pack. And then you can do something like that. And what that means is that there's no legal place to put your own unit in your deployment zone. Okay. Amazing. There we go. So because there's no legal place for you to put this in your deployment zone, no space that fits, you make it sure it's actually accurate. You're not even allowed to place it like this, which technically there'd be enough space there. So I think you actually have to do, I think it's something like that. Deployment makes it work perfectly, right? But anyway, the point being is it's actually really easily possible to block all possible deployments with just those units. So now this doesn't fit in my deployment zone, which means it goes into reserve and I deploy it later. And you can have 3 of them in reserve. And then at the first round, you spawn in a Shadowcat. Let's show the Shadowcat here. You then use horses or move something here. You can position it where you move this one. This is the Wolf Pack. You can move 6 that way. And basically it creates a gap for 1, 2, and 3 units. So what you can then do is, if you want to, you can spawn 3 units and each one of those drops a bear and you can put it within 6 inches of this thing over here. So you spawn this bear and then because you just activated this gets to charge. You then activate this one, placing it on the board, and then you get to put this bear on here and it charges into the back. And then you have another bear over here and it also charges in to the back. You've got side, back, back. And now you've got 3 bears that have just attacked the same unit, once in the flank and twice in the rear. And yeah, that potentially is just game over because you probably just killed a unit. There's a rules debate as to whether or not you're actually allowed to do that, but the rules do seem to support it. Basically, at the moment, there's a discussion happening with a few TOs from the online scene, competitive scene, and things where basically it's trying to get to the bottom of whether or not that's legal. So yeah, that is potentially a massive problem. And in case you're wondering, the 4th one, because there's 1 Barok, 3 of them are bears. The 4th one, it can be a bear or it could be a wolf, and you can give that whole attack set vicious as well. Fun. But even so, let's just do a normal deployment. So Varamir and his pets. Let's just put Varamir in the middle, the wolf pack there, and you put the boar there. Again, just bear in mind that this is random stuff. Then you deploy Barok. Let's put him in the middle, just for argument's sake. So you now 4 deployment drops in. You deploy Raider unit number 5 with the Raider, and you can deploy it like here. And what you can do is you can deploy the bear fully within 6 inches. So you can do that. You can then deploy your next Raider unit here. And you guessed it, this bear has to be within 6 of the next bear. Then you deploy your 4th unit. And you'll never guess what this bear's going to be. Oh, no, you did guess. It's going to be within 6 inches of that bear. Then you deploy your 5th Raider unit, which could be a wolf pack or an eagle, or, why not just... Oh, sorry, wolf pack. Could be a wolf or an eagle, but why not just have another bear? You then have the Shadowcat spawn on, but you'll notice there's a conga line of bears now up the field, and these are approximations. I think some of them might be just a bit too close. No, that one's actually extra space it doesn't need. It was pretty good, pretty accurate. You can do something like that. That was almost perfect. So, what's the problem? Well, the problem is, if my Baratheon player had 4 deployment drops and deployed a DSN there. before I put any bears on the board. The gap between us is 4 inches, which means that this is an automatic in charge with this bear into this DSN. Bearing in mind you have Sundering and also -1 armor to armor when you're engaged. So your very first action, and you know, this is a bit, you know, it's probably not going to happen, but still, your first action, you can spawn the Shadow Cat on here potentially if this is alone, and your genuine first thing might be to activate this raider unit, March 10, and activate this bear and charge that DSN. And if he doesn't, you know, if you don't kill him, he might survive. He's got to get healed. He could attack back on swords if you want. But if he's got taken any significant number of wounds, the Shadow Cat can just dance into the rear. Charge it in the rear for -3 armor. And hit it with its attacks. And probably just kill the DSN. So if you don't kill the DSN with the first action of the game, you actually have a second action of the game to kill the DSN. Or the mountain, for example, on the side of the board like this. Anyone think that that's stupid as fuck? Because I do. Now, I can't actually say if this strategy is good or not. Like, I don't necessarily think it is good, but it's stupid as fuck. What it is. So if you ignore the deep striking bears, as it gets called, and say that that's not allowed, that is allowed. Like, what I've just done there is completely allowable in the rules. So bears are a problem because power level wise, there's discussions we can have. We can discuss whether or not, you know, having all of these roadblocks that are hard to kill at 3+3+, 3 wounds is good for the game. But what we can also discuss is bear chaining up the board like this at the start of the game just feels completely wrong. Right? And yet completely legal. The cheese is strong. It is. Like, this is cheesy. By the way, this is a, if you ignore NCUs, this is a 40-point list. 3 NCUs with this list. 4, 8, 12, 16. And then that's a 5 and a 7, so that's 12, so that's 28, and you can have 3 NCUs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 activation list. So yeah, like, this is something that's kind of a problem. I don't necessarily think it's a problem of, like, power level or anything like that, but, like, yeah, this needs to be addressed most likely in an FAQ or in some kind of errata or something. Yeah. Really stupid. All they need to say was deploy within short range of their skin changes unit. Yeah. Or just, like untrained masses from freed men, deploy within short range of a non-bear unit. Like, so the bears can't just chain. Like, that's all they need to do. Bear with me while we wait to this. While we wait to this bear fix, I'm guessing. Will be fixed. Anyway, that's just something to be aware of. I didn't think about bears too much, but then obviously as the week went on, I did. And I did a test game into Corellian, playing the bears with the deep striking rule, and the game was basically over at the end of round 1. Because you just can't do anything about it in any, like, reasonable way. So yeah, that's something. Yeah, fun with bears. There we have it. It's a neat party trick. If I saw my opponent brought this list, I'd probably leave and go get a drink to forget. Yeah, exactly, Mac. That's the other issue, though, is that you shouldn't. When we've had the most powerful things in the game, the answer is not to ban them. The answer is not to not play against those players. The answer is to prove that it's broken. Right? The answer is to say, look, let's play this game. Let's have an honest game. And if it takes you 5 minutes to lose, it takes you 5 minutes to lose. Who cares? That in itself is data, right? Play the game, especially if it's recorded, but like just record it, and then the whole point being, well, in theory, right? The theory would be is that Simon looks at this. They probably don't. But the theory would be is if you can say, look, all these games are just being like resignations against these bear players because they're losing units in like round 1 and round 2, like this is an issue, then that's the best way of getting it fixed. Raul says the question is here is why someone would play this line of list. Well, if the list is strong, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to run a good list? I agree, it's cheesy as fuck and it's annoying, but why wouldn't you want to do it, right? You do it once or twice and realise that you wouldn't want to, but when it comes to event play and things like that, this is completely legal for events. And it rightly so should remain legal. But it is silly. Very, very silly. I just thought I'd let you know. So I got that wrong. Still not entirely sure on the bears. Non-abusive bears, I'm still not 100% on where I sit with them. You know, we'll see, I guess, in time. But yeah. Clearly not fun. And Max says, I know a few people that cheese like that. Yeah, people do. And people will. Especially in event play, people will try to do that. And why shouldn't they, you know? Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's about being competitive and about bringing what you think you can win with. And if that means you want to use this strategy and play this way, then so be it. No different to everybody else. It's just, it happens to be using something that many people find frustrating. Yeah. Anyway. Put TTS away for now. But actually, no, I won't. I lied to you. There is actually one thing I wanted to show you. Because this is funny. Right? Your opponent's playing some kind of aggressive list, and you play in the new Banners and Butchery. And in case people are already like, I know where this is going. Let's say they've got, I don't know, Kingsguard, Lannister Kingsguard, there we go. We'll have the Mountain That Rides, because why not? Because the Mountain That Rides is awesome. Let's put him down there. Let's go for a unit of Knights of Cassie Rock, because, you know, where would you be without Knights of Cassie Rock? Probably Tywin, because, you know, you're a Lannister player and you don't know how to play without Tywin. And let's see, you got unit crossbows. Let's just say, I have no idea how many points this list is. Something like that, right? You've got 4 units. You deploy your 3 things back here. You deploy your Baroque unit, and then after they've finished their deployment, you go, Free Folk Raiders, 1 inch away. Deploy my. You put. Oh, the first Free Folk Raider goes here, right? These probably aren't this close, but you get the general gist. Then put Free Folk Raider there. Put Bear there. Okay. Second Raider unit, or third Raider unit after Baroque. There. Bear. There. You can see where this is going, can't you guys? Oops. And then they go, cool, right, what are you doing next? A 3 foot Raider unit here. 1 inch away. There. Here. Oh, shit. This is not looking good. And what about the last unit? Well, the last unit, guess where the bear's going to go? It's going to go here. And then you can just immediately, like the start of this game, you can go, cool, there's 4 units in short range of this unit, so you get all 3 tokens, and then charge it in the rear with the bear. Get fucked, Gregor, you're saving on, like, 5s. Oh, sorry, sundering your 6s, right? -4. 3 dice, on 6s on the defense, then a -2 panic test. If you have theirs too many, it'll be -5. Good luck. Yeah, this is, like, the whole point I'm showing you, this is stupid. Like, obviously this is stupid. But imagine someone, like a new player, playing like Banners and Butchery, and this is genuinely how they deploy. They have their range units or their melee units started surrounded. Like it's just very silly. The funny thing is, so Max says, to be fair, I tend to view things like this from a casual perspective. I don't go to tournaments, which does change our stuff. Yeah, I completely agree, Mac. Right, from a casual perspective, this is just someone being a bit of a dickhead. But you'd play it once and go, God, that's really strong and like really powerful. And hopefully in your local area, you would then turn around and go, look, guys, I didn't enjoy playing that. I just think it was exploitative. I just don't think it was very healthy. You've done it once and I appreciate you doing it. It was actually like a good learning lesson. But I'd rather you didn't do that. And most reasonable people will be like, yeah, you know what, I'm not going to. Right? If you didn't enjoy it, you didn't enjoy it. It's not fair. Some people are saying if they've got, do you have enough skin changes? The sad truth is, you already saw some of mine. I actually have, there's 4 bears for you. I actually have 6 skin changes. Because way back in 1.6, it was worth having that many skin changes. So I actually have 3 boxes. And if people think I'm lying, or if people think I'm crazy... Whoops. Skin changes. Skin changes. Skin changes. 3 boxes of skin changes. 2 of which are cut apart because I've used them as... Well, they're going to be part of my second chariot conversion. So I'm going to have a skin changer chariot instead of my... I've got a follow a bone chariot, which I converted. I'm going to have a skin changer chariot converted as well. So I only actually have 4 models on foot, because the other 2 are bits. But yeah. Players from way back in the day, it's actually very likely they have 6 skin changes. So this kind of thing is completely plausible. 1 bear dead in that form. Yeah, that was actually the Targ Hero box that fell down. Of all things. So yeah, let's put this away. Right, this is scary. This is not helpful. I'm just giving people bad ideas. So yeah, that's obviously the biggest kind of like from the patch, I think. The other thing is, I mean, I'm just gonna say this: we don't have stats for season 5 yet. We don't have any recorded stats or anything like that. But I am gonna say this. Fuck my life. Lannisters, right? Lannisters have felt, and they aren't, but they feel genuinely like the most popular faction at the moment. If you've been playing online, you'll notice that Lannisters seem to be playing what feels like every other game, right? And I'm not kidding. Like, it really feels like every game includes a Lannister player. I have not watched a game played on TTS online or any of the like Sims and stuff. I've not seen a game that doesn't have a Lannister player in it. It's completely personal, biased information. It is not data. It's barely analyzable. But it is an interesting observation, I think, that Lannisters are just that popular. And you know what is in nearly, not every Lannister list actually, but nearly every Lannister list I see played? Oh, is it Tywin I hear you are? Yeah, it's Tywin. Tywin NCU is in basically every Lannister list that I see getting played online. Yeah. Like, bloody hell. Like, can we just have a break? So that's like kind of like where I feel it's certainly observed to be the most popular faction from my end at the moment. Martell's obviously probably one of the stronger factions with almost universally buffs. Neutrals universally weakened. I don't know why they did that to neutrals. I genuinely think they are killing neutrals slowly. There's just no reason to want to play them right now. So yeah, where we sit. That's where we're at with it all. It sickens me. Oh, Corp Make made it to the top 10 from Finland. Oh, awesome. I didn't realise that. So, I think... What was... Forest Pond was up. Was Forest Pond as Johannes? I don't know if Johannes is still about. I don't know if Johannes was ever as high as the top 10. I have a feeling he may have been. Pretty sure Forest was near top 10 before. Pretty sure. been a while since we've had someone from Finland in the top 10, though. Because I think Forrest was the last person to do it. That's awesome. Well done, Course. The names are ones recognised. Big guy, 2154, slightly lower than where he needs to be. Smashed Evil Morty, did he? Yeah. Absolutely smashed Evil. Yeah, Bill's obviously very good. And Bill's still lower than the maximum. The highest ever. Yeah, still lower than the highest ever, buddy. I should probably play him and lose to him. Or play him and beat him. He's playing this. His classic Greyjoy list. Yeah. I'm going to eat people alive. Anyway, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Hopefully, yeah, I'm going to put some time and effort into some things and hopefully produce some stuff that people find interesting. Some different things that I think people might like to hear about, to talk about, just to kind of see what's going on. And yeah, just, I don't know. I've got some ideas, but some of it's so some of it's stuff that I need another player for. Some of it's stuff that I kind of want to do with a group of players. Some ideas for kind of new formats. So yeah, like, if anyone does want to play some games on TTS with some weird and wonderful kind of format changes, let me know, because I've got some ideas. But it might take some time. So, Post says, I don't like blaming for taking advantage of poorly written rules. Yeah, exactly, Post. You know, I would never blame somebody for using the rules to play certain. I'd blame it if they're gaming the rules, which is slightly different. Like, leaving obvious holes to take advantage of, which is where I think the deep striking comes in. The deep striking is very close to being gamey, and the rules don't 100% support it, but they don't actually 100% rule it out, which is why it's so difficult. But like normal bare stuff like that, which I just saw there, is completely playing to the letter of the rules and is not gaming the rules. It just is stupid. But I would never blame someone for doing it. No. So, what have we got here? Okay. This is a list from Temu, and it was the only one I hadn't got on my little notepad that I've been sent. I got sent a few. Shout out to Aerostar, who made quite a nice list. Who was probably why I won in the running. Right, he was in the running. I had lists and write-ups from Ross, among other people. He did a massive write-up on the Stats Discord, by the way. Like massively long write-up of the game and the gameplay, which was really cool. Awesome to see, awesome to read. Really appreciated it. But yeah, I'm fancying this list idea. I quite like this one. I like this one because it uses not just dervishes, but also a bunch of other stuff, right? So here's the dervish list. Let me just load it up. So it is Oberyn in dervishes. No, it's Oberyn in June Vipers. Combo that some people see, some people like. We've got dervishes with, and this is why I quite like it, with the High Hermitage Sentinel, right? So utilising ambush as well as elusive escape with the enhanced mobility. I think this is a really quite potentially interesting combo. He put Stormcrow Archers in there because they don't currently exist, which we all do the same today. But this is supposed to be Martell Bowman, the new Martell Bowman, I believe. With Daemon Sand. Then we've got a unit of Starfall Knights. Rounding it off, we have Baelish, Ilaria, and Aris. This was made before the patch. So it is likely that he might trade in Doran. I probably would trade Doran into this list myself. However, yeah, there we go. There's your list. And I think this for me is the winner, right? And there's a reason that I like this list, and it's not just because it runs the dervishes, etc., etc. I like this list because it has Dune Vipers in, which are traditionally not very good, right? Dervishes with the highest Hermitage Sentinel, which I think is an interesting combo that I do think has interesting applications. The new archers, yeah, fine, whatever. But it also uses knights and not outriders. Now I'm a big outriders fan nowadays. I was a bit unsure when they first came out, but I've turned into a big outriders fan. But I like the knights. I really personally like the knights, even though I know that other people say they're weak. I'm a big fan of the knights. I think they have a place. And I think this is a really good example of a list where they might work. And the NCUs are the NCUs, they're fine. Yeah, I like this list a lot. I think it uses a lot of underused and potentially underperforming elements of Martells and tries to put them all together in a list and says, try this. I like the idea. I think this is cool. I think it's awesome. It's a bit different, right? So there we go. No skirmishers and no Royal Guard and no Outriders. You tell me that you built a Martell list without those three things, and most people would be like, not true, not possible, can't do it. All three of those things, I'll say. But here it goes. It's been done. And I don't think the outcome is terrible. I quite like it. So thank you for that, Timu. Yeah, I have to remind myself what I offered the winner at the end of the year when we've done a bunch of these lists. And hopefully, Data, you're now satisfied with knowing what Dervish list is actually going to be interesting. Dave would hopefully obviously see this list, and Dave, if you're watching, hopefully you like it. Drop me a message. Yeah, Dave's list. Dave will never be able to turn away from his list, but I think if he saw this list, I think he'd be more interested in it. He'd obviously probably try and run as a 2NCU list. Alex says it works well with Nymeria and Harmon, the combo in the new patch. But there we go. There we have it. Good stuff. Let's have a look at a few events. And we'll wind down. Swedish Nationals this weekend coming up. I know that Keijo's going to be attending. We also have a real mix of players from across Finland, Sweden, Polish individual, and Norwegian, player making the travels. A few Polish actually, and an American, Patrick Strange, making it across. I think he lives in Sweden now, actually. I think. Yeah, that's this weekend. 41 players looking like to be bigger than the LGT. LGT tickets are still available for anyone in the UK looking to go to London this year. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This is quite a big event. Probably the first big event of Season 5. So do check out Swedish Nationals, this weekend. I don't believe it's being streamed in any manner. Anyone from Sweden can obviously correct me on that. But yeah, do check it out. I'm looking forward to hear it. I love how after round 6 they said prize ceremony mayhem. Amazing. Cool. Yeah, that's the big one. The big one to talk about, to shout about, to remind people of. We've got an event in Russia, an event in Sevilla in Spain, Germany, an event in British Columbia, Canada, event in Louisville, Kentucky. We've got an event in Sacramento, California, and another event in Russia, Poland again. Crash in the Clownlands. This is a small event in London in the UK at Badminton Cafe. The Battlegrounds Standard Season 5 League, so the league in Connecticut, USA, starting up at Battle Standard there. Warrenton Warlords. That's Warrenton, VA, which is Virginia, right? Which is a starter +1 event. I think that's the first time I've seen an event in Warrenton. So that's really cool to see. I hope that goes well for those of you in the Virginia area. So what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 events this weekend, including Swedish Nationals. So check those out. I'm going to be shouting on my boy Keijo. Hope he does well this weekend. I hope he absolutely smashes it and takes the prize because, you know, that would be awesome. And yeah, anyone who wants to watch along, you can watch along. Anyone who wants to shout about anything, shout about it. It's going to be great. I'm trying to be more optimistic. You know, I'm gonna focus on the more optimistic side of things if I can, rather than show my negativity constantly like people are used to, because it is driving me down in other ways. So hopefully we'll see some good stuff in the next few weeks. Players, if anyone is interested, if anyone wants to get in contact regarding anything, just let me know. You know, reach out. More than happy to chat about anything and everything. And yeah, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Season 5. We've got a load of national events coming up. We're going to see some real kind of breaking the bone type gameplay. You know, really pushing it out as far as people can to really hone list building and kind of list creation. So we'll see how all that pans out. And I will catch everybody here. Probably not next week, but 2 weeks' time. I'll be back. Your challenge, Maeve Mormont. Tell me if you've won with her and what list it was. No promises to if anyone does win. And don't just fake it for the sake of faking it. Play a real game. I want to see the result. I want to see people going, you know, this was hard fought. This was hard. It felt bad being 2 points down. But yeah, let me know how it all goes, guys. And I'll see you in a few weeks' time. You take it easy now.
Ready? Aim!
There's too many.
Anyone see my mammoth?
Stop me!